Hey everyone, Abe, DailyIncomeNetworks.com. This is Craigslist Training 2014 edition, How to Post on Craigslist, Advanced Marketing Techniques. Let's go ahead and get into it. First off, some facts about Craigslist that'll help us to appreciate why it's so important for us to be able to learn how to use Craigslist effectively as marketers. And basically, it all boils down to traffic. So how much traffic does Craigslist get? More than 50 billion page views per month. It's huge. How many people use Craigslist? More than 60 million each month in the US alone, not to mention discussion forums where more than 200 million users post and 100 topical forums. Basically, that spells out just a huge opportunity for people interested or are in the business of internet online marketing. Online marketing is all about that. It's about figuring out where the traffic is, where the most amount of traffic is, and learning how to get in front of it. In the case of Craigslist, there are some ins and outs to learn how to do it effectively and efficiently, and that's what we're going to be covering today. 2 points in specific we're going to be covering is how to post Craigslist ads in several cities and not get ghosted. If you don't know what ghosted is, it's basically when you post an ad and to you it appears to be live, but for anyone else it's completely invisible. So how to post Craigslist ads in several cities and not get ghosted. Number 2, how to post on Craigslist without getting flagged. There's 2 ways to get flagged. An admin can flag your ad, which means it's basically going to be removed, or a user can flag your ad, or several users can flag your ad. There's no bulletproof way to prevent flagging altogether. But we're going to cover some techniques that are really good at minimizing the amount of flagging that's happening on your ads. So Craigslist 101, one of the very basic things for you to understand as a marketer when it comes to Craigslist is that Craigslist is local. It's a local service. So what that means is that Craigslist doesn't want you to post in cities all over the United States. They only want you posting in your local area. And within your local area, Craigslist allows, depending on who you're talking to, 3 ads or so per account per 48 hours. So in your local area, your one local account can post about 3 local ads every 48 hours. Now that's horrible for you as a marketer, because when it comes to online marketing, the name of the game is to get as much exposure as you possibly can. The more ads you have out there, the more eyeballs you have on your ads, the more leads you generate, and the more money you generate. So how do we get around this, this rule that Craigslist puts into place that only allows us to post in such a limited way, to advertise in such a limited way? Basically, Craigslist wants you to put a billboard in an alley. You as a marketer want to put your billboard on the busiest highway that you can find, the busiest freeway that you can get to. So how do we get around this rule that Craigslist puts on us as marketers? Well, to figure out how to get around that, first you have to ask, how does Craigslist know if I'm posting from within my local area or from outside my local area? Basically, it comes down to 3 different things. Your email address, number 1. Number 2, your phone number. And number 3, your IP address. So this works in a couple different ways. If I open up a Craigslist account, I have an email that is used to open that account. Now, if I open up a Craigslist account in Phoenix with a specific email and use that same email to open up a Craigslist account in a whole different city, like New York, well, that's a red flag for Craigslist. That's one thing that helps them to determine where you're posting from. So they'll want to tie your email to one account in one local area. Secondly, your phone number. Your phone number is used to verify your account on Craigslist. So if I open up an account in Phoenix, they're going to want to verify it with a phone number. So if I use my phone number to open up that account, then that phone number is tied to that account, and it cannot be reassigned to another account for 90 days. So now, if I try to open up an account, a Craigslist account in an area outside of Phoenix, once I try to use that same phone number, then it's not even going to allow me to post to begin with. So that's just one thing that they use in order to kind of limit the amount of posting that you're doing when it comes to posting outside your area. Number 3, it's going to be your IP address. Your IP address is basically announcing to the internet where you are, generally speaking. So currently, as we speak, I'm in New York. If you're able to see my IP address, you're going to be able to see that I'm in New York. And not only that, you'll be able to see what city I'm in New York. So again, if I try to open up an account in Arizona or California with a New York IP address, then that is also a red flag for Craigslist. So those are the 3 things that reveal where you're posting from. Now that we know that, we're going to be in a better position to move forward to get around the rule that only lets us post in a very limited way. So email address, phone number, and IP address is what Craigslist is using to figure out where you're posting. So then, if we want to be able to post outside our local area, then we need to dress like the locals. What that means is basically, again, I'm in New York. If I want to post in Phoenix, then I'm going to have to take those 3 factors into consideration. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to, number 1, be able to change my IP address to show that I'm actually in Phoenix and not really in New York. So there is a service that we can use to do that. Number 2, it's going to be best for us to have a local phone number. It's not always the case that you need a local phone number with a local area code, but it's always best practice to get a local phone number. That way they see they have a separate independent phone number to verify that account. Not only that, but they're going to see that it's a local phone number, so that's going to help you out. There's also a service that we're going to discuss later. I'm going to show you how to do all that stuff in just a few slides. So we'll show you how to get that done. Number 3, it's going to be that you're going to need a separate and dedicated email address to use to create the Craigslist account. So you're not going to use your personal email address. You're going to create a whole separate email address. So for example, if again I'm in New York, I want to post in Phoenix. I'm going to get a Phoenix IP address. I'm going to get a Phoenix phone number showing a 602 area code in that case. And number 2, I'm going to get a Phoenix email address. And all that means is I'm going to get a dedicated email address in order to open up my Craigslist account in Phoenix. So with all these things in place, now we can post in Phoenix. And all these 3 factors that we talked about on the previous slide will make it appear as though we're operating in Phoenix. And that's the trick. And we'll discuss on how exactly we get all that done here in just a second. So this is what your account is going to have to look like if you're going to be able to post outside your area. Now that we know that, then let's imagine that this funnel that we see here represents one Craigslist account. And those 3 components are what compose the Craigslist account: the local phone number, the local IP address, and the dedicated email address to open up that Craigslist account. So if this one Craigslist account can produce 3 ads every 48 hours, then we can begin to imagine that a second account can create another 3, and then a third account can create yet another 3 ads every 48 hours. For a total of 9 ads every 48 hours. So you can start to see what we're doing. The trick is to have several accounts in several areas, each with their own Craigslist account, created with a dedicated email address, phone number, and IP address. Now, a side note, up until now we've been talking about what it takes to create an account that can be duplicated in several areas. So what it takes to create an account outside of our local area and the 3 elements it takes to do that. But what about creating more than one account in the same local area, in the same city? Well, in that case, there's only one thing that's different. There's no need for a second IP address. You're still going to need a phone number. So let's take it in the left hand side here. In one city, one account, you'll have the one phone number, you'll have the IP address that corresponds to that area, and then you have an email address used to open up the Craigslist account. Well, in one city, say there's 2 accounts for one city, you still need 2 phone numbers because Craigslist is going to want to verify the second account with a different phone number than you use for the first one. And the way they do that, by the way, is they'll send you a text message with a code. You have to use that code to input it before you can start using the account and start posting. So you'll need the 2 phone numbers for the 2 different accounts. You still need the second email address, dedicated email address to open up the second Craigslist account, but you just need the one IP address, as you see here on the right-hand side. So the reason is because if we're in Houston, Texas, for example, here, the IP address is just going to show that you're in Houston, Texas. It's not going to show anything more specific than that. So the only thing that is different is there's no need to change between IP addresses when you're dealing with more than one account in one local area. Now we understand how to create several accounts, and we understand that doing that is gonna increase our exposure, and we understand that that's the name of the game. Post as many ads as you can, have as many live ads out there as you can in order to increase your leads, and that will inevitably increase the conversions that you're getting. We understand that that in order to do that, we need those 3 elements to duplicate those accounts in several areas, and that's the broader strategy. Now that we understand that, we can get down to tactics. We can begin to talk about different approaches such as this one. This is what I call the 2-1 ad spread. The reason why we got into creating 2 accounts in one area is because of this. So let's talk about the 2-1 ad spread and how that works. 2-1 ad spread, you're going to have 2 accounts in one area. Let's take Tucson, Arizona in this example. The first Tucson account is going to be created in order to post 3 ads on Monday, Wednesday, and then Friday. We're waiting between Monday and Wednesday. We're going to post on Monday, then wait the 48-hour period that Craigslist requires, and then post again Wednesday, then wait those 48 hours and post again Friday. The second Tucson account is going to do the same thing, except it's going to post on Tuesday, wait 48 hours, post on Thursday, and then Saturday. So we're doing this for two reasons. We're doing it because, again, we're increasing our exposure. With this approach, we can post every single day as opposed to every 48 hours. But also by using 2 different accounts with the 3 different elements used to create the account, the different phone number and an email address, that's going to allow us to fly under the radar. And it's going to allow us to not have our ads flagged or ghosted at least as often as they would be otherwise. So it's about being stealthy. Once you learn how to be a little bit stealthy, a little bit clever, then in the long run you're going to have more ads sticking more often. And the bottom line is that it's just that it affects the bottom line. It'll be more consistent. You'll be generating more consistent revenues. Having in place consistent strategies such as the 2-1 ad spread. Now, if that's the little picture, that in one city 2 accounts can produce 18 ads per week, then the bigger picture would be, again, to duplicate what we've done in one city and have 2 accounts in Madison, 2 accounts in Buffalo, 2 accounts in El Paso, 2 accounts in Louisville, Albuquerque, wherever else you think is good. Now, as we see in the diagram, if we do this now, we begin to duplicate that 2-1 ad spread in different cities. Instead of talking about 18 ads per week, in this case we have 7 cities on the board, and the only reason why there's 7 cities is because that's all that fit on the screen. But in this example, instead of 18 ads per week, we're talking about 108 ads per week.